Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. A lazy egg embarks on a long and bizarre journey, together with his brother, to meet his mother and discover his true origin. Today we will recap the complete first season of the series, Gudetama, an excellent adventure, from 2022. Inside the refrigerator is a small basket filled with eggs. Suddenly, one of them starts to move, causing the egg next to it to fall out. When its shell is broken, the yolk and egg white splatter on the floor, and thus Gudetama is born, dripping down the shelves and onto a tray. Then that moving egg hatches, resulting in Shakipio hatching. The chick ends up falling from above and ends up next to Gudetama. Confused, the yolk is surprised to see that fertilized egg, but ignores it, because it is too lazy to care about anything. Upon encountering Gudetama's fluffy bottom, Shakipio becomes convinced that it is his mother. Due to a phenomenon called filial coining, many birds have a tendency to believe that the first thing they see after their birth is their mother. To rid himself of this terrible responsibility, Gudetama points to the image of a chicken, which is drawn on an egg carton next to him, and claims that that is his progenitor. At that moment, Shakipio begins to cultivate a strong desire to find his mother and invites the egg yolk to accompany him. Since they were in the same basket, the chick believes that Gudetama is his brother and decides to take him on his journey, despite his clear disinterest in meeting his mother. In an attempt to inspire his brother to embark on this adventure, Shakipio tells him that even though they were born in Japan, the second most egg-consuming country in the world, they are alive and healthy. Therefore, they need to take advantage of this opportunity. Since his attempt at inspiration does not have the expected effect, the chick finds another way to take Gudetama. He uses the other half of his eggshell to build a cart, which he intends to use to drag his brother along on the journey. At that moment, the refrigerator door opens and the duo takes the opportunity to escape. As they hit the ground, Shakipio runs to put Gudetama back on the cart, and both realize that they have been in the refrigerator of a restaurant all this time. Now they need to hide quickly, because if they are found, they are in serious danger of becoming sushi. However, during their escape, the duo is almost trampled by one of the cooks and Gudetama ends up being thrown onto another chef's table who puts him inside a plate to go straight to the food conveyor. Next to him is a sushi plate filled with salmon roe. These little creatures start asking Gudetama questions, and soon a new food enters the conversation. The dried fish tells that it has been running on that conveyor belt for several days without ever being chosen by any customer. Meanwhile, Shakipio is trying to save his brother and climbs on the kitchen counter to try to find him. In that instant, he witnesses the atrocities that humans do with eggs and chickens in that place and goes into despair. However, upon coming across one of the cooks, Shakipio mistakes him for his mother and jumps on his face. When he realizes that there is a chick loose in the kitchen, the demented man decides to throw it in a box along with the organic waste. As dishes are removed from the conveyor belt, the chefs replenish it with new food and a pudding is added a few inches away from Gudetama. The salmon eggs are impressed to see such a complex food and wonder how it got that way. The pudding then tells the whole process it went through to get to that shape and asks the eggs how they got into the sushi. The little creatures then explain that they were born in the ocean and their mother was caught by some guys who wanted to make a buck. Then her abdomen was cut open so that the eggs could be removed. At this moment, the plate of sushi is taken away by one of the customers, along with the pudding. Once again, the dried fish feels frustrated for not having been chosen, but continues to believe that its time will come soon. While trapped in the organic waste bin, Shakipio eventually finds a sticker attached to one of the eggshells and becomes convinced that if he follows the code printed on that stamp, he will soon find his mother. This expectation gives the chick an extra motivation to escape. Seeing the raw egg passing right in front of him, a boy gets curious and decides to pick it up to mix it with his noodles, causing a real revolt in the dried fish, because he believed that this time he would be chosen. The boy then uses his chopstick to try to pierce the yolk, but Gudetama orders him to stop doing so. Realizing that he has been scolded by the egg, the little boy begins to cry. At that instant, Shakipio runs over and manages to save his brother. While they are hiding, Gudetama takes the opportunity to drink a drop of shoyu, his favorite drink. Soon after, the chick puts him back in his cart so they can continue their journey. Upon hearing the boy claim to have seen a talking egg, Inoue hands his mother his business card and tells her that he is producing a TV program about strange creatures. If there is a talking egg out there, the man intends to capture it soon. When he hears this, Shakipio is distraught and immediately flees with Gudetama, but both are eventually caught by Inoue. In Japan, the current prime minister's popularity is totally compromised. If his acceptance rating drops another 1%, Sasagawa will become the least popular prime minister in the cabinet's history. Shakipio is celebrating being next to one of the most important people in the country when suddenly Gudetama wakes up and asks how they got there. The chick then explains that after fleeing the restaurant, They were both trying to crack the QR code on the sticker when they saw a heated demonstration and decided to hide. While on the run, Shakipio comes across a boy and decides to hide inside the eggshell with his brother. The young man then throws the food towards the Prime Minister with the intention of humiliating him, but the egg ends up falling into his coat pocket. As a result, Gudetama and Shakipio have been taken to the office, and now they must find a way out of there to continue the search for their mother. Just then, Sasagawa lies down on the sofa and begins to talk to the pair. The man complains about life as if he were a child, and Shakipio begins to worry about the future of the country. Unexpectedly, the lazy Gudetama decides to run for office as Prime Minister, and the chick helps him spread posters around town. Gradually, the duo receives the support of the population, and Gudetama becomes the first egg to hold political office in Japan. Sasagawa, now in the position of Deputy Prime Minister, says he is proud of Gudetama. Through his example, the man feels inspired to become a better politician and make a difference in people's lives. While basking in a puddle of shoyu, Gudetama reveals that he will give up his position because Sasagawa is now ready to take over as Prime Minister. This way, the duo is free to resume their mission, but before leaving, Gudetama receives some advice from his friend. The man advises him to be careful not to rot. After all, eggs have an expiration date. Minutes later, the secretary enters the room and is distraught to see the Prime Minister lying on the floor. She doesn't realize that the man is just signing some papers and starts screaming as if he is dead. At that moment, a security guard appears and threatens to arrest the pair. While trying to escape, Shakipio has an accident and Gudetama is thrown out the window. Seeing his brother at risk, the chick gets desperate and runs to the ladder in an attempt to get downstairs in time to save him. The problem is that Shakipio is on the 43rd floor and his diminutive size makes it difficult for him to climb down the steps. After descending a few flights of stairs, the chick comes across a cleaning lady and can no longer get out of the place, as his body is sucked up by a vacuum cleaner. While his brother struggles to get free, Gudetama continues to fall, and through the window of the building he sees an egg sandwich being devoured. Then other food advises him to give up, as he will be destroyed as soon as he hits the ground. After a few attempts, Shakipio manages to escape and puts all his energy into getting down those stairs as fast as possible. Imagine the chick's frustration when he finds out that he has only made it down 3 floors. At this point, he decides to adopt a new strategy and hitch a ride in the elevator. However, the fact that the machine stops at every floor stresses him out, because each minute lost represents a great risk for Gudetama. An eggshell that is being used as a plant pot sees the yolk falling from the building and becomes envious of it, because it too would like to have a more exciting life. When Shakipio finally manages to get out of the building, he must face a new challenge. Now the chick has to cross the street without being trampled and reach Gudetama before he falls to the ground. However, just as the two brothers were about to meet, the egg begins to rise again and returns to the Prime Minister's office. This was made possible by its chalaza, a white thread-like structure that holds the yolk in the center of the egg. Suzuki, a young woman who works together with Inoue, spots the egg climbing up the building and runs to the balcony. She accidentally drops the sauce from her sandwich and Shakipio is covered in ketchup. After all their ordeal, the two brothers continue their journey walking the streets of Tokyo in search of their mother. Suddenly, they see a toy truck coming toward them, and are almost run over. The vehicle crashes into the park's drinking fountain and a terribly smelly creature comes out of it. Upon seeing the thing, Shakipio runs towards it, believing, once again, that it is his mother. However, it doesn't take long before the chick's dream is interrupted and he realizes that this is just a rotten egg. The stinking yolk then introduces himself as Gudetama and orders the duo to hand him all the shoyu they have. After verifying that Shakipio has no shoyu hidden, the monster decides to leave them alone and shares the tragic story of how he became a rotten egg. Gudetama says that 2 days ago he was a very fresh egg that was served by a young woman to her boyfriend. However, when the man went to thank her, he got her name wrong and the couple started a long argument, leaving dinner on the table. Several hours later, Gudetama began to rot and decided to leave that house. Upon hearing this sad story, Shakipio remembers the words of the Prime Minister and begins to worry about his brother, for his expiration date is about to expire. Attracted by the rotten egg, 3 flies approach and start attacking them. However, not even the insects are able to bear the stench and end up fainting. Minutes later, Gudetama comes to the conclusion that it is better to be devoured by someone than to rot, and is disappointed to realize that this is the best he can get in life. As Shakipio looks at his brother's buttocks, he realizes that he is beginning to mess up and goes into despair. That night, they turn to the criminal underworld to prevent Gudetama from rotting. According to Gudetama, there are some magic stones that prevent food from spoiling. However, these stones can only be acquired from a heavy-handed people who smuggle goods. Seeing the chick planning to steal the stones, Boiled Egg decides to intervene and advises him not to mess with that gang. He tells us that the old man in the hat is in charge of the egg mafia and his name is Tempered Egg. As Shikipio tries to catch up with the mobsters, a fly approaches Gudetama and, from the stench it produces, Boiled Egg realizes that his new friend is rotting away. When he realizes that the yolk is in danger, Boiled Egg decides to help him get that merchandise and guides the pair to the mobsters' hideout. After going down the elevator, they arrive in the egg underworld and Shikipio has to disguise himself, because chicks are not well seen in that place. Upon entering the hiding place, the two brothers are surprised to find an entire orchestra of eggs in different forms. Some are raw, others are boiled, and some have even been turned into pudding. Gudetama gets excited when he sees dozens of shoyu bottles scattered everywhere, but Shikipio forces him to keep his focus. After they walk through the entire hideout, Boiled Egg reveals that the VIP room is behind a door that is being protected by 2 security guards. To get across, they need to go through the pipe and find the room that is filled with packages filled with magic stones. To get them, Shikipio holds his brother by the chalaza so that he can enter the room and steal the goods. Just then, the chick realizes that the hard-boiled egg is also starting to rot, so Gudetama has to get 2 packages of magic stones. However, just as he manages to accomplish his mission, the lights go out and a mess begins. Shikipio and Boiled Egg are pulled into the VIP room and the trio is arrested. Next, 2 cupcakes appear and announce the arrival of their boss, who is nothing more than a giant omelet. The creature claims that those 3 stole his merchandise and orders them to return it. At that moment, Gudetama begins to be pulled by his chalaza and Omelette realizes that it was not the trio who stole his magic stones. The monster then makes a deal with Shikipio and Boiled Egg, saying that they will be released after finding out who the real culprits for the theft are. Inoue and Suzuki received news that an egg capable of moving by itself was seen in that alley and decided to go there to investigate. Once they arrive on the scene, the duo spots Gudetama being pulled through the gutters and decide to follow him. Shikipio and Boiled Egg also go after him and end up in a Chinese restaurant. There they find the centuries-old eggs, which are submerged in a mixture of clay for over 40 days. They are the culprits for stealing the magic stones and use them to create more centenarian eggs. Shikipio then tells them that they will have serious problems if they don't take those stones back, so the 100-year-old eggs decide to return them. As retribution for retrieving the goods, the chick asks the omelet to give them 2 of those little bags, and the head of the egg mafia decides to grant the request. In this instant, the trio discovers that these are, in fact, only dissecting material that serves to protect against humidity. Although it extends the shelf life of the food, those stones do not prevent them from rotting. Still, Gudetama had a significant improvement after using those stones, and Boiled Egg theorizes, saying that he only improved because he believed those were, in fact, magic stones. After accomplishing their mission, the 2 brothers bid farewell to the Boiled Egg and are eventually found by the humans, who immediately capture Gudetama. Then they return to the office and Shikipio becomes desperate. The chick now has to find a way to go after his brother. In the company building where they work, Suzuki hands Gudetama a bottle of shoyu. She is the only one who can communicate with him, because for Inoue it is just any raw egg. The boy's greatest fear is to become a failure and be a disgrace to his family. So he tries his best to see Gudetama move, but all his attempts are a failure. Minutes later, his boss, Mr. Shimada, appears and greets Gudetama. Inoue is outraged to find that he is the only one who cannot see the true identity of the raw egg and asks him some questions. Based on the answers translated by Suzuki, the boy manages to put together an alien story that he plans to sell for a TV show. However, when he presents his project to potential investors, Inoue fails to convince them and becomes a laughingstock when he presents Gudetama to customers, who see only a raw egg inside the dish. After a long day at work, Suzuki sits next to her new friend on the 2nd floor of the building where she works, and both are surprised by the arrival of Shikipio. The chick asks for the young girl's help to read the QR code of the stamp he found in the restaurant where he was born, in hopes of discovering his mother's whereabouts. Suzuki is able to locate the farm where they were born and intends to take them there. However, Inoue appears at that very moment and offers to do the job. The boy leaves the 2 brothers at the door of the farm restaurant in a box, and soon they are found by the cook. The man places them on the countertop while he goes to look at the pots on the stove, and Shikipio takes the opportunity to try to escape with his brother. On the way, they spot several recipes made with chicken, and the chick is terrified that its mother might already be dead. Seeing the cook holding 2 radishes, Shikipio begins to cry, believing it to be his mother's body. However, he soon calms down when he realizes that they are only vegetables. The little one asks the cook if he knows where his mother is, and the man advises him to look in the farmhouse that is next to the restaurant. He then asks Gudetama which dish he would like to transform into before being devoured, and Shikipio realizes that this is the end of his journey with his brother. The chick knows that being devoured is the best end its brother can meet, otherwise it will soon rot. Shikipio decides to go his own way, but Gudetama says he wants to stay with him so that they can both meet his mother. The duo braves the night cold to accomplish their mission, but ends up being blown away by the wind and falls on top of a rock in the middle of the lake. Without Shikipio realizing it, Gudetama is captured by a bird that takes him directly to its nest. Instead of going his way alone, the chick decides to go save his brother, even though he is so close to meeting his mother. Shikipio runs to the base of the pole and starts climbing. Despite the difficulty, the little guy does not give up and manages to reach the nest. When he gets there, he discovers that Gudetama was mistaken for a chick and the bird just wanted to feed him. After retrieving their brother, the pair must descend back to the surface, but Shikipio is paralyzed with fear and they spend the night in that place. When dawn breaks, Shikipio takes courage and decides to fly to the ground. Gudetama tries to warn him that chickens can't fly, but the chick is determined to do whatever it takes to find his mother. With his brother on his back, he jumps off the cliff and soon realizes that they are falling too fast. Just as they were about to tear each other to the ground, Gudetama uses his chalaza to save them and the duo makes it to the ground safely. They enter the chicken coop and are surprised to realize that there are dozens of chickens inside. In addition, there are several other Gudetamas scattered around the place. Shikipio approaches each of the chickens and asks if it is his mother, but soon realizes that his real parent is not there. Therefore, the pair decides to investigate in the chicken coop next door and comes across a nest of blue eggs. At that moment, a lady appears next to them and says that those chicken eggs are completely normal on the inside, but because of their appearance, she can't sell them. Upon hearing this, Gudetama remembers that on the day he was born, he saw his shell quickly and noticed that it was different from all the others. He then says that he came from an egg that looked like that, and the farmer tells him that a few days ago she made a mistake. She sold one of those eggs along with several others in a basket, which means that Gudetama's mother is indeed on that farm. The hen with the blue eggs is called Kana, and she always lays eggs of that color, so this means that Shikipio and Gudetama came from different mothers. The chick then hands the stamp to the farmer and asks if she can locate its mother through it. After looking at it carefully, the woman says that unfortunately Shikipio's mother has already been sold to a restaurant. Upon hearing this, the little one cannot hold back his tears. After all, he has faced many challenges to find her. Shikipio sits down next to a potted plant and begins to cry, while the lady takes Gudetama to meet his mother. Just then, she discovers that her husband has just sold Kana to a merchant who is leaving the farm in his vehicle. Suddenly, the truck brakes sharply and Shikipio says that Gudetama will be able to meet his mother that day. The chick feels happy to see his brother getting a chance to talk to his mother, even though he knows he will never get the same opportunity. That afternoon, Gudetama finally reaches the end of his journey. The chick says goodbye to his brother, who has just gone to the plate of the nice lady who received them. The raw egg thanks Shikipio for bringing it there and is happy to be devoured before it rots. Hours later, the chick is playing with some chicks on the farm and the farmer realizes that he is much bigger than all the others. So she decides to take another look at the stamp and asks her husband to help her read the QR code on it. At that moment, the woman discovers who Shikipio's real mother is and takes him to meet her. Meanwhile, Kana lays a new egg which, when it falls to the ground, cracks, giving birth to another Gudetama. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.